Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Ben Crossman, and I hope all of you, I hope you're all having a great day because we have a great show lined up for you where we will be talking with the COO and co-founder of Heartbeat here in just a moment, and we will be, of course, getting into just what Heartbeat does and how they do it, and hey, maybe it's something that you should definitely check out. But also in the second part of the program, we will be doing computer and technology news, a lot of great news stories that that we are going to get into. And yeah, it's just going to be a fun show. So a couple of things before we get started, including computeramerica.com. That's where you'll find everything from the show notes, which include a link to our guest website, to any stories that we talk about, any videos that we show, just anything and everything can be found in one place. While you're there, also be sure to check out the social media contest brought to you by Logitech, and be sure to check out the live video stream brought to you by OWC. So, with all that being said, I think we're just going to go ahead and jump right into this. And again, really looking forward to our guest today. So joining us is the one, the only Ms. Kate Edwards, and she is the COO and co-founder of Heartbeat. So Kate, welcome onto Computer America. How you doing? And thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so this is going to be fun because this is something that I won't say that it's the first time we've ever heard of something like this, but it's something that seems to really be growing. The idea of what Heartbeat does. So obviously, let's start at the beginning. What is Heartbeat, and tell us a bit about yourself as well. How did you kind of get started with this?
Yeah, great question. So Heartbeat is a social marketing technology. And what that means is we've built a huge community of hundreds of thousands of female, millennial, and Gen Z brand ambassadors. So we connect brands with the consumers that they're trying to reach and consumers with the brands that they genuinely love through massive user-generated content campaigns on social media. We came up with the idea for the company a few years back. My co-founder, Brian Freeman, and I were both working actually in the dating technology space, if you can believe it. And we saw that, a lot of those dating companies launched their products on college campuses with normal women. And they were incredibly successful at marketing those products. It's how Tinder launched and Bumble. And what we saw was that there's a huge untapped power of these average, everyday American women as marketers. And so we had the hypothesis that normal women could be incredibly powerful and utilize the voices of their own social media to, create incredible marketing results. So it was a hypothesis when we started, and we've really proven out that the normal person can be a more effective marketer than any influencer out there.
Yeah, well, and I guess that's part of what being an influencer is, because I'm not the most well versed in the space, but influencers can come from all from all walks of life, where they could be specifically hired by the company and start from nothing and say, hey, you are now the face of our brand, congratulations. It can be everyday people that happen to build a following by themselves. It could be a celebrity, name any celebrity that you may know, and suddenly they're drinking Coca-Cola, and that's an ad campaign suddenly. Talk about what you feel the difference between influencer or ambassador or brand, face of a brand. What do you really quantify in your case? What do you quantify an ambassador, and how is that different than these other positions?
Yeah, it's a great distinction. If you think about kind of the history of marketing and advertising, this idea of influencer marketing actually isn't new at all. Even if you look at kind of, Tony the Tiger or Santa Claus for Coca-Cola, brands have always used, certain celebrities to drive their business. And so, they started realizing that actually in the 1880s, and that progressed as media changed. One of the things that we've seen is that what an influencer is very relevant to what the popular medium is at that time. So if you think about the 80s, you're thinking about TV and print ads. Brands were using models. They were using Cindy Crawford and Christy Brinkley to sell shampoo. And then as things evolved, the definition of an influencer definitely evolved with that channel, right? So if you think about kind of the early internet, you had kind of, the early influencers on YouTube and things like that. And so what we've seen in the past, let's say 5 to 10 years, is the emergence of what we now call influencer marketing. Influencer marketing is essentially the evolution of that celebrity face of marketing onto social media. And there's a huge upsurge of brands kind of clamoring to do that. What you find with social media, with Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, is that there's almost an influencer class. There's people who started to build their followings. There's people who, really started to make this their living. And so, right now you have brands working with influencers who might have 1 million or 2 million or 20 million followers. And what happens there is, that becomes an industry in itself, and that becomes a sense of celebrity. What we find it. Oh, go ahead.
No, and I was just going to maybe you were about to get into this, but from the brand side, the ones that are who are willing to spend the money, pay these people to get their message out. Is this something that they're kind of okay with? Like, does it not really matter as long as they get their product in front of the right set of eyes? I mean, just speaking from both sides of the market. I mean, is this something that everyone's kind of okay with, or do they kind of wish it went back to, two celebrities on everyone's screen?
Yeah, it's interesting. We work with millennials and Gen Z. Millennials kind of being that more 19 to 36-year-old, Gen Z being younger than that. And what we find is that with this generation, people are really frustrated with, this sense of celebrity marketing because they see it as inauthentic. And more than ever, millennials are responding to traditional forms of advertising, like celebrity advertising, less and less. Over 2/3 of them are using ad blockers. They want to see people they can relate to. They want to see diversity. They want to see people who resemble them. And so we do see a sense in the upcoming generations of frustration with this kind of like traditional influencer marketing. And you'll even see a shift in the past few years from big influencers to micro influencers to nano influencers. Fewer and fewer followers, because those are the people that real people relate to. At Heartbeat, we have ambassadors. We call them ambassadors instead of influencers, because the women in our network are just normal people. They might be a college student, they might be a young mom, they might be a young professional who is an accountant or a dental hygienist. They're just normal people who have social media accounts but still want to engage with brands. And the reason that it is more effective is that sense of authenticity. You're more likely to trust the opinion of a friend that of somebody that you go to brunch with, of somebody that you went to college with, because you have a frame of reference with that person and you have proximity and access to them, as opposed to something like a Kim Kardashian, which is very inaccessible, which is inauthentic, which is fake. And so we are seeing a shift of these newer generations really just wanting to see advertising that relates to themselves and who they really are.
So, and that's something that we're definitely seeing more of. Is you mentioned Kim Kardashian? I'm sure it could be any number of celebrities that you mentioned, kind of seen as fake, where it's come out, and I think there were actually laws put on the books in regards to her, and really every other influencer out there, that they weren't kind of disclosing that, hey, yes, they were wearing a certain kind of shoe, using a certain kind of purse, drinking a certain kind of champagne, and they were being paid tens of thousands of dollars. And not because they enjoyed or particularly endorsed these products. Well, they endorsed them because they use them, but it was because they were also being paid. And so I guess now we have these situations where you must disclose. And my point with that is that there's a lot of kind of legal side to working with brands, what's paid, what's not, and when you do, how do you disclose that? There's kind of a lot of work that goes into starting out becoming an ambassador. Let's start with Heartbeat. Let's start with your platform, and let's say someone has that following and they want to start trying to monetize what they do. Walk us through the process of signing up with Heartbeat and just getting started.
Sure. So anybody can sign up to be a Heartbeat ambassador. We don't believe that a higher follower count means that you're more valuable. When someone signs up with Heartbeat, they sign up using their Instagram account. So you just go to getheartbeat.co. And you join by, signing up using your Instagram. So you sign in using your Instagram account. So we're able to take a look at your profile, understand the quality of the post, how frequently you're posting, what your engagement rate is. And then, you're assigned a pay rate based on a number of different factors. So your pay rate is the flat rate that you'll get paid for each campaign that you participate in. And then when someone signs up, they also answer a lot of survey questions about fashion and fitness and beauty and health and wellness. So we have a good sense of what you're interested in and what types of campaigns you want to do and what we can be sending you. But it's really easy to sign up. People in our network have, anywhere between 300 and 5,000 followers is really our sweet spot. We do have people who have more, we have people who have fewer followers. But our whole philosophy is that it's actually more powerful to have only the number of followers that you actually know in real life. Because you do have a higher engagement rate. The average Heartbeat ambassador has a 16% engagement rate, and the average influencer has about a 1% engagement rate.
No, and that's and of course it has to do with that idea of authenticity and engagement. So just browsing through your website, and you mentioned your origins of really kind of female oriented social media. I know that especially on Instagram, it's certain categories translate very well to Instagram. I know that food, pets, makeup, and certain other, and of course, beauty tips, things like that, translate very well to Instagram. And browsing through your website, lots of females. What is your policy on men? Do men just not kind of line up with these, or how's that work out?
Yeah, I mean, we are focused on building a community of female brand ambassadors. That's been our origins, because our company was founded on this idea that the voices of real women matter. And we've always had a focus on female empowerment and kind of changing the dynamic of how marketers and media view women. And so that is a huge focus for our company. And, we're proud to use the hashtag fempowerment in everything that we've done from the beginning. Men are welcome to sign up. We're not actively marketing to men, but what we find is women are naturally excited by this idea of working with brands, sometimes more so than men, but we do have about 5% of the people in our network are men. But what we find is that women are really great at sharers, right? Like our entire company is based on word of mouth, and women are just naturally great about talking about products they love and things that they've tried. And they're also great content creators. The average American woman has a really high level, understanding of photography and how to create a great flat lay. And so working with women has enabled us to scale the consistency and quality of our content in a really strong way. And then also we focus on women because women are 85% of all consumer purchases in the US, including tech, gaming, and automotive. And that's something that a lot of people don't realize, but women really are the most powerful purchasers in the country. And so by focusing on this population, we're able to help brands really achieve their marketing goals and business goals more efficiently.
So it's not that men are excluded, it's just they're, not being advertised to, not a priority, but they're more than welcome to apply if they feel, they would kind of fit your fit your service. So
Sure,
that's
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, we have people of all genders on the platform.
Right. Perfect. Great to hear. So, and you mentioned Instagram. You check the Instagram, things like that. Obviously, offshoot of Facebook. So, my question is that social media? It's pretty varied. You can have everything from all the big ones to more niche ones like Snapchat, or I don't think anyone uses Google Plus anymore, so I can't say that. Twitter. I mean, so why Instagram? Is that just is Instagram what companies are interested in promoting? Because again, a tweet 140 characters, or I think it's up to 280 now. Is Instagram just like a better thing for advertisers, or is that a more engaging platform? Why Instagram as opposed to all the other social media out there?
Yeah, that's a great question. We have done campaigns on Twitter, on Facebook, on Pinterest, on Snapchat, on Musically. But what the reason we do campaigns on Instagram is because that's where ambassadors want to be posting. One of the coolest things about our business is that our network is comprised of 200,000 women, and so we are essentially a big focus group of all of the people in the country. And so we can ask them, where do you want to post? What platforms excite you? And it's cool because we can definitely see a lot of trends. We saw a huge shift away from Snapchat to Instagram stories, for instance. But right now, Instagram is outperforming the other platforms 7-1 when we ask that question of where do you want to post? So for instance, you're seeing Facebook kind of less important in the minds of our ambassadors. If you ask an 18-year-old woman to post on Facebook, it's less natural and organic for her to do so. We want her to create content where she's already creating content, so it seems authentic because it actually is authentic.
Right. No, and that's a good point. That Facebook seems to be getting a pretty bad rap, but Instagram still seems to be that kind of more organic and. Because you can put a face to it, and there's not all these storylines of, well, is it a Russian bot that's really doing it? So, Instagram.
Well, it's interesting. For some reason, we do see that millennials and especially Gen Z have a lot more trust in Instagram than they do in Facebook. I think it has been partially because of the negative PR associated with how their data is used. One of the things that we do differently is we ask the ambassadors what data they want to share. And so we take a little bit of a different approach than the Facebooks and Instagrams of the world. But yeah, we do see Instagram as just being where they want to be posting.
Right. So, and I've heard a lot about these campaigns that ambassadors or influencers they try to take on, and in a lot of cases, it's large companies, be it the big names in, let's say, computer gaming or Coca-Cola or clothing brands, places like that. They brands that would otherwise already have recognition, but just kind of need to drive it home among key audiences. I kind of have questions about, let's say, a company that's just starting out and they want to get into advertising. I mean, do they have to kind of go with a national ad campaign first and then, kind of hit these, some of these with more focused audiences? Or what kind of companies are interested in marketing to or using ambassadors?
Yeah, great question. So I'd say all types of companies. We work with everybody from small startups that are just launching products or just launching their brand to big companies. We've worked with Amazon and Bose and Netflix and some of the biggest companies out there. The companies that are interested in working with our ambassadors actually have a number of different marketing goals. So they might be just looking to drive awareness. They might be launching a new product. They might be trying to get app installs. They might be trying to get specific sales conversion. So all the clients come to us with a specific goal that they're trying to accomplish, and we're able to create a campaign to help them figure out how to achieve that goal. The verticals that we work most with are the ones that you would expect. So fashion, fitness, beauty, health, wellness, consumer packaged goods, entertainment, and kind of, movie promotion and TV show promotion are really huge for us since we're out of Los Angeles. But yeah, I mean, we do work with all types of brands. One of the things that's interesting is, some of our direct competitors, are things like Facebook ads and Instagram ads and AdWords. When you think about a new company that's just launching, there's kind of limited marketing channels for them right now. And so we're able to come in as an additional way for them to reach their audience in a targeted way that might be a little bit more authentic than some of those bigger players.
Right. So, and I'm, just kind of flipping through your website. Everyone, again, we have a link to it right there in the show notes. And I mean, this all seems really great. Let's talk about the experience for the, for the companies that will be, kind of paying money. I'm assuming that this is obviously, to some degree, I wouldn't say completely automated, but connecting, let's say if you have, tens of thousands and, we can talk about how many people are actually, participating in, in your app, but, finding the right person, it's kind of like filling a job position, and that can be very tedious and a very hard thing to do. So talk about matching these, you mentioned that there was some talk of like Bumble and like a matching app like that.
Yeah.
Talk about matching.
Yeah. So part of it is ambassador preferences. When they sign up, they tell us what they want to be posting about. And we always start with that because we have an ambassador first mindset. We're a marketing tech company. And so obviously our clients are the brands that we work with, but we're a little bit different in that we've built a brand for our users. And so the biggest thing that we do for matching is build that trust with our ambassadors and only give them campaigns that make sense for them. So as I mentioned, when the ambassadors sign up, they answer a huge list of survey questions. So everything from their location to their income, to how many times a week they might work out, to do they like Nike or Adidas. So we have a lot of data on them, and so can create targeting capabilities for our brands. And then on the brand side, when a brand decides to work with Heartbeat, they tell us exactly what they're looking for. They might be targeting, women who are interested in fitness, for instance. And we can go into our network and only reach out to women in our system who are, interested in fitness brands, who meet that targeting criteria, who might be in a specific location in the country. And so we work with the brands. Right now we're pretty full service. We're in the process of building more of a do-it-yourself, self-serve platform. But right now we work really closely with the brands to make sure the ambassadors are right. And how that works is once we have that targeting criteria, our technology is identifying people within our system who are top performers from a quantitative standpoint. So in influencer marketing right now, a lot of brands will pick ambassadors through eyeballing, right? Mm-hmm. So, are these women attractive? Are these women on brand? And Heartbeat has always taken a different approach, because we believe that all women have value. We understand the ability of every single type of woman to market to her respective audience. And so our technology is able to say, well, this woman has an incredibly high engagement rate. She's posting regularly. We have a number of different factors that go into the algorithm that selects the ambassadors for the brands. So it's definitely a blend of our technology quantitatively selecting people who are going to be the best at achieving those brands' goals, and our team sorting through, taking a look at everybody to make sure that they are brand safe. But the ambassador selection is a huge blend of tech and a human element of making sure that brand gets the top performing ambassadors and the ambassadors that reflect them in the best possible way.
All women have value. What a radical idea. I like it. It
is. It's interesting because, I hate to admit this, but when we talk to a lot of bigger brands, they're used to picking people based totally on aesthetics. And so it is incredibly novel to them for us to say, this woman might not be the shape and size of the models you've previously been working for, but we believe that she's going to outperform those women. And being able to show that and prove that has been really inspiring. And, we really do see that we're changing the way that brands think about how women are portrayed.
No, it's great. And I mean, there's another part of this that a lot of people, and I've kind of been focusing a lot of my attention on the live streaming side, which is another, kind of form of social media, but it's people putting themselves in front of a camera. And I think you kind of hit on this with another part of what you do, where I see it all the time. People try to live stream and they always ask people who have put in years of work and gotten lucky and really have been established for quite a while. They ask them, how do I get started doing what you do? How do I, start to become, in your case, an ambassador? How do I become a live streamer? How do I, and I think it's different because social media, live streaming, just in general, what it was 5 years ago, even the people who you're asking advice from probably couldn't do it or wouldn't know how to start today. So, and I think this is what you touch on with Heartbeat University. So would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Heartbeat University is essentially a training program for people who are looking to learn how to become an ambassador or work their way up to being, an influencer, if you would call it that. For us, we believe that everybody has the ability to work with brands, but we also recognize that brands are looking for specific things. So if your photos are all blurry, you're less likely to get a campaign with a top level brand. So Heartbeat University, when ambassadors sign up, and we might see you sign up and recognize that you're not, at the photography level, for instance, that brands are looking for. We can teach you a couple tricks: how to do a flat lay, how to create content that is really, beautiful, that type of thing, how to increase your engagement rate. All those things are things that we can teach the average person to do. So if you sign up for Heartbeat, we can help you improve and get better. And that goes back to our philosophy of everybody, really being a valuable asset for our community. Even if you don't necessarily know what you're doing when you start, we can help with that. And what you mentioned was really great in terms of, can people do this now? For us, it's interesting because a lot of people say, like, how do I increase my follower count? How do I increase my follower count? Mm-hmm. Well, our answer is, we don't care about your follower count. We care about how effective you are, how high your engagement rate is, how many people, are inspired by what you're doing. And so that's what we encourage people to focus on instead of this follower count, which is a vanity metric. Right now, between 70 and 90% of the followers on influencers' accounts are fake or bots. And so follower count becomes pretty irrelevant once you take a look at that type of statistic.
Right. Yeah. No. And that's why I was really happy to hear that you focus on things that aren't simply how many people viewed X, Y, and Z. It's there are a lot better metrics to gauge whether or not someone is successful. So, and you've definitely outlined that quite often. So, and the next thing is that we should talk about some of the technical stuff where Heartbeat, I believe it's an app, iOS and Android, and talk about the security side and talk about what data you're actually accessing. You mentioned that you go into the analytics of someone's Snapchat. Talk about the technical side with security and permissions and how Heartbeat actually operates.
Yeah, great question. We take security and privacy of our ambassadors incredibly seriously. We have kind of a different philosophy on data, which is, we believe that every person is in charge of their own data and should be able to monetize that in the way that they see fit. So when an ambassador signs up, they sign up using their Instagram account the same way that, you sign up using Facebook one click for a lot of things. It just, allows us to leverage the data from the Instagram API. And that gives us really simple things like follower count and your post frequency, things like that. And then the other data is all provided by the ambassadors. So the survey questions that they answer, they tell us what they want to, the data that they want to give to brands. It's been really interesting in light of kind of the Cambridge Analytica and Facebook scandals and seeing, Mark Zuckerberg testify to Congress, because that's all based on Facebook taking data sort of against people's permission, extrapolating data, working with third-party data sources. And we've always had this philosophy of just, everybody has data. And I think millennials and Gen Z understand the value of their data and they're willing to provide it in exchange for certain things. So, maybe that's a coupon or maybe that's, getting a free product, but they understand that there is value there. And so our ambassadors are more than willing to give us data because of the level of trust that they have with us. And we're only sharing with the brands, the data that they're telling us that they want to provide.
That's very cool. And, just for everyone else out there, in the second part of the show, when we do news, actually, I think the Google is being sued in the UK for clandestine data collection for 4.4 million people. Like, you mentioned that, it's what's happened and there are repercussions. It's still going on. So I always like to ask the question about what you actually do with the data. So thank you for answering that. And Kay, I'll be honest with you, we're just flat out of time. This half hour really flew by. If people want to find out more, where can they go? Do they find you on Snapchat? I mean, what's the best place to find more information?
Yeah, go to our website, which is getheartbeat.co, and you can sign up to be an ambassador there. You can also follow us on social media at Heartbeat Company on Instagram, and we're on all the other socials as well. And I'm Kate Edwards, if you want to follow me as well. I do a lot of stuff for the company, so you can follow me too. I'm happy to put myself out there.
Great. No, and great for the plug. And Kate, thank you so much. Everyone else, Computer America will be right back.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. That's 800-215-4461.
We are all Brother Wolf. 10 years ago, a group of locals banded together to create positive change. We took animals into our homes, held adoption events at local retailers, and talked to the community about our mission to help build a no-kill Asheville. A decade later, we have achieved so many victories for animals in need. There's been so much progress, yet there's still so much to do. As part of our year-long celebration, we encourage you to become a member of our special Compassionate Circle program. With a monthly donation of $10 or more, you will have behind-the-scenes access to the work we are doing at Brother Wolf. Our goal is to reach 1,000 members because we receive no government funding. Working together, we can help build and sustain no-kill communities. Learn more at compassionatecircle.bwar.org. We are a 501c3 tax-deductible organization.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 32 minutes past the hour as we continue on here. And we just wrapped up with Heartbeat. You can find more at getheartbeat.co. And of course, like we said, in the Android or the Apple App Store, there is the Heartbeat app. And again, it's all about becoming an ambassador or someone who associates themselves with certain brands. And hey, if you have that following, if you are social media savvy, maybe you can turn that into a bit of money and help you do more of what you enjoy. And really, that's what I think brands are finding out about social media is that instead of paying, an A movie actor or someone really famous and say, hey, you should really enjoy our product. Here's $15,000. Go on a commercial and show everyone in a very scripted scenario how much you enjoy our product that we paid you to. And as opposed to that, I've seen numerous cases where, hey, brands are starting to reach out to people that actually enjoy their products and are actually pairing up with them. And hey, instead of putting the cart in front of the horse, just find people who are good fits for your brand, good fits for your company. And hey, kind of make their day and make your day as well, because they are a bit more trustworthy. So there you go. And again, everything in the past half hour that we've done, you can of course find there at computeramerica.com or wherever podcasts are heard. The podcast is simply the show in its entirety, available through, wherever podcasts are heard, including SoundCloud, Spreaker, Google Play, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and many, many more. You can find them there at computeramerica.com. So with that being said, why don't we go ahead and move on over to computer and technology news. So let's go ahead and get into this. So computer technology news. This is of course brought to you by OWC. If you haven't checked them out, Otherworld Computing make a lot of great, fancy, and well-tested products. Check them out, everyone. Here we go. And because, yes, there was a bit of conversation. Deadpool 2 did debut this weekend, and if you haven't had a chance to go see it, I did. Myself and Craig went to go see Deadpool. And as far as movies go, I know that sometimes when you get that comedic effect, and this is a part of comedies especially, that I never really understood. Like, action movies don't seem to fall into the same kind of swampy mess that comedies do, but it's kind of like Airplane and Airplane 2. Not saying that Deadpool's on the same kind of level as that, but whenever I ask people, did you like Airplane, and they say, of course, I love that. And then I said, what did you think of Airplane 2? They said, it was more of the same. It was okay. And I felt like and I feel like if you really enjoyed Airplane and then you said, well, it was more of the same, you should really enjoy, Airplane 2. Deadpool's kind of in the same boat, where I really enjoyed Deadpool. I think a lot of people did, broke a lot of records, laid new ground for the idea of an R-rated superhero comedy flick. It really shined in a space that wasn't there before. Now Deadpool 2 comes along, and it's more of the same. Don't get me wrong. And I personally feel it was great. It was great because it was more of the same. So it's not revolutionary by any means. It's Deadpool. It's what you're going to do. And yeah, Tech Rob in the chat room mentioned that he's going to go see it if his card comes soon from MoviePass. But either MoviePass, matinee, whichever way you can see it. No spoilers, but if you enjoy Deadpool, you're going to enjoy Deadpool 2. And there was even a surprise guest. If you're a huge fan of the comic book supervillains, there's a very cool villain that you kind of get there. And also, be sure to stay for the after credit scene. It's pretty hilarious. I mean, Deadpool does shtick like no one else. So, yeah, there you go. Because there was some talk of course, Deadpool 2. So, there you go. Why don't we go ahead and jump into computer and technology news now? And we have a couple of stories. Some of these are pretty silly. And I actually like this one. So, this one coming to us from CNET. And so, when I read the title, the first thing that popped into my head, let's get into this, was, yay, autoplay videos. They're the best part of my job. So, other than autoplay videos, this one from CNET, robots can now complete tasks by simply observing humans. And the first thought that popped into my head was, and robot productivity has never been lower. Watching humans do certain tasks and being able to replicate them and do them better, neural networks, they're an amazing thing. So this was actually a bit of a press release. I know that we mentioned from CNET, but NVIDIA put out the findings. And yeah, this all has to do with what NVIDIA can do with their technology. And this has to be, one of the cooler things that robots have learned to do. Where? Check it out. NVIDIA announced Sunday that a team of researchers has built a has built a first of its kind deep learning based system that allows robots to learn how to do a task by simply watching human beings do that particular task. The technology is designed to enhance communication between humans and robots. I guess teaching them English, just like, teaching, say, myself English, very hard to do. Forget it. You'll never be good at speak. So instead, they're going to do a more do as I do, not as I say. And of course, here we go. They have a quote here saying, for robots to perform a useful task in real world settings, it must be easy to communicate the task to the robot. And that includes both the desired result and any hints as the best means to achieve that result. And with demonstrations, a user can communicate a task to the robot and provide clues as to how best to perform that task. And they even have a video here. Let's go ahead and try to throw that up there if you're watching the video portion. But essentially, it's a pretty boring, kind of slideshow thing. And then they get into, the robot actually identifying different objects and then, kind of roboting its way through what the task actually is and what the desired result of it will be. So it's a form of learning. It's a form of learning. And, we'll see what actually comes of this. The author mentions that obviously the tech is in its infancy, and today they are moving blocks and toy cars, but tomorrow, well, who knows? So the team is presenting its research at the International Conference on Robotics and Automation, and yeah, there you go. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, it's pretty darn cool. Obviously, robots are going to figure out how to best do this, and this is, let's say, in a factory setting, instead of actually having to program every little thing. If you're able to just slide the robot in and they can visually learn what exactly they're trying to do, then hey, that's important too. So there's that story. So let's see. All right. So this next story, moving from robots that will eventually displace every human ever, let's talk about. All right. I actually like this one. So I know that technology and science, there's a lot of overlay there, and people who enjoy technology, hello audience, you folks tend to enjoy science as well. And this is a pretty cool one. And when I say pretty cool, I mean extraordinarily cool, where NASA, those folks, the people with rockets that go up and down, they're great people. NASA will create the coldest place in the universe to study quantum physics. And check it out. They call it the Cold Atom Lab, and it just reached the International Space Station. Apparently there's a car chase going on that is very riveting. Everyone, pay attention to any car chases in your area. Drive safe. But this next article coming to us from John Fingus and from Engadget. Check it out. It's hard to study quantum behavior on Earth. Hey, there's a lot of interference with a lot of technology that you use to measure quantum physics. But check it out. You can amplify the effects of quantum mechanics by zapping groups of specific atoms with lasers that drop their temperature to near absolute zero. But that only works for fractions of a second before gravity invariably takes over. And, well, NASA's solution is to create the coldest known place in the universe. So obviously the closer you get to absolute zero, the slower the atoms move, and the less chance you have of gravity interfering with your measurements. Pretty cool. And they said that they just launched the Cold Atom Lab, which is a box that takes advantage of the microgravity aboard the International Space Station to keep condensates in that ideal state for much longer. So you don't have the gravity of the Earth to interfere with everything. So the box creates a temperature that is roughly, check this out, 10 billion times colder, 10 billion with a B, than the vacuum of space, and then uses a combination of lasers and electromagnetism to slow atoms until they're virtually stationary. That's a chilly little room. And in that very low gravity environment of the International Space Station, those atoms should hold their wave-like state for roughly 5 to 10 seconds, which is still a pretty brief window, but much easier to study. And figure, if we're talking nanoseconds on Earth, 5 to 10, that's an eternity when it comes to actually measuring these reactions. So, the extra analysis time could lead to a greater understanding of quantum physics, which in turn can be applied to quantum computing. Always a great thing. It may also help us detect dark energy, which is the most common substance in the universe. So they think dark energy makes up an enormous amount of the universe as we know it, supposedly. So while you may not see the results for quite a while, the lab's impact might be felt for a long, long time to come. So, with that being said, and really, what NASA's doing with this box, the International Space Station continuing to prove to be quite the unique setting for a lot of experiments that would otherwise not really be possible here on Earth. And the fact that they can package this up into a nice little box and measure everything just like that, super, super cool. And by super cool, I mean 10 billion times cooler than anything else. So, yeah, pretty awesome. Okay, so I like this next story just for the headline because what shipped with Windows 10? A quick little, kind of quiz for everyone out there. What shipped with Windows 10? And it came from Microsoft. It had its origins in a video game, or at least its namesake came from a video game known as Halo. And they marketed it as a pretty big deal. And time's up. The answer is, of course, Cortana. Cortana came with every instance of Windows 10. It was supposed to be your new digital assistant, the way you would use Windows 10, and your all-around replacement for the Windows search bar. Because, typing things with your fingers was so old hat. You would eventually just be talking to your computer like it was another person, like Cortana could actually understand you. Well, this next story, I find it pretty interesting, is that this made headlines, was that Acer, them, they make laptops. Acer offers the first laptop with, Alexa built in. So control your smart home while you're checking email on the couch. And there we go. Yeah, so control your smart home while you're checking email on the couch. And I just found that, kind of different, was that we already had a digital assistant ship, but apparently this is a cool thing now that Alexa can do it. Because Cortana, whatever. Alexa, oh my goodness, this is the best thing ever. So HP may have been the first to offer an all-in-one with Alexa built in, but Acer is determined to be the same for the laptop realm, where it just revealed that several of its laptops are the first to ship with Amazon's voice assistant already installed. So the Spin 3 and the Spin 5 should be available in stores about now, while the Nitro 5 Spin convertible will pack Alexa when it arrives in June. So, yeah, sometime next month, the Nitro Spin 5 will be the first laptop with Alexa built in. So, if you already have a compatible model, don't worry, your system isn't suddenly obsolete, where Acer is promising updates with Alexa support through the company's Care Center, starting with the Spin 5 May 23rd. So it sounds like the Spin 3, Spin 5, and the Nitro Spin 5 will all have Alexa support. There you go. If you even wanted it. So, as with all other Alexa equipped PCs, you have access to a wide range of AI's helpers tasks, whether it's controlling your smart home devices, playing music, or checking the weather. And yeah, hey, maybe let's see. Still, this might do the trick if you live in an Alexa-centric household, or just don't care for Cortana. And again, just kind of reading through the chat room, Cortana didn't exactly take off. I think a lot of it had to do with what Microsoft is trying to remedy in their most recent, I keep wanting to call it pep rally, but the place where they go to psych everyone up for using Windows products. They're offering developers more money to develop on the Windows platform. And that's a great thing, because I really feel like that's where Cortana fell short. Cortana just wasn't very useful. In the few times that I personally used her, she was a glorified search bar. She said, "I don't know what you're trying to ask for, Ben. Here's a Google search using Microsoft Edge of what you asked for." And it's like, when I'm trying to ask for, who won the latest game, or what's the weather, or what are the headlines, having that bit of failure rate really turned me off of the idea of using Cortana as anything more than, a nuisance. So, I had desktop, you have a lot of input methods, voice isn't the ideal thing, and we'll have to see with Acer and what they've done with Alexa if people actually kind of care about a digital assistant when you have a mouse and a keyboard. That's going to be an important factor. Are people going to actually use this thing when they don't have to? When they have every alternative to a voice command, are they still going to be using it? So, yeah, we'll definitely see. And, yep, so there you go. Acer and the entire Spin line looks to be Amazon Alexa compatible. We'll see what they do with it. All right, so Cortana, eat your heart out. All right, let's see. So, this one's sad. Often on the show, we have companies that come on the program trying to promote themselves, which is fine. We definitely like bringing new, different products to your attention, especially those in the development stage where, hey, those are the ones really, those are the companies really trying to stand out, do something different, and discern themselves. So, this is a problem, though, is that when you run into companies such as this, they aren't always, how do I put this? They aren't always successful. And the most recent way to fund themselves is that first, they go to a venture capital firm. They pitch their idea. They say what they want to do. They get 10, 15, 5, whatever $million. And then they say, all right, go do the thing. And then they go to Kickstarter. They have a big chunk of change. They start to set up the company behind the company to really manufacture their product. And then they go to the consumers and say, hey, pre-order our product. We're going to ship it out as soon as we can. And they go through Kickstarter, Indiegogo, whatever, and they get pre-orders. And then, if the company proves to be successful, they go to round B funding, round C, they go to different venture capital firms, and they raise untold millions of dollars that, pre-orders just don't fulfill. Let's see. Yeah. Wait. So let's see. How about Google, the new Google Assistant? You're thinking of, and by the way, Craig in the chat, you're thinking of Google Home. Google Home also in there with, with Alexa and Cortana and Siri and all them. So, Google Home. That's what you're thinking of. But anyways, back to this. We're talking about a company called Ossic, and this is a problem, I think, with Kickstarter and with Indiegogo and even the most successful campaigns. I mean, think about, let's say, the Pebble Watch, which is, widely regarded as the first successful campaign. Even they had to sell to Fitbit, and they sold for pennies. Like really, they sold for like, $3 million to a larger company, a more established traditional company. Pre-orders don't fund everything in the background. They don't fund setting up manufacturing facilities. They don't fund production lines. They don't fund, shipping in a lot of cases. They don't set up the corporate structure. They don't do a lot of what a company needs to do to actually be a large company. And, let's say they get really popular and they have to ship out, 10,000, 100,000 units. That takes a lot of back end that you just don't pay for with pre-order. So here's the problem. And again, we're talking about a company called Ossic. Just another case that I like to bring people's attention to. After tens of thousands of pre-orders, 3D audio headphone startup Ossic disappears. Unfortunate. So not really disappear, but they're unable to fulfill. And the people who backed them, the people who supported them and said that, hey, we believe in your mission, they will not be receiving refunds. Womp womp, not good. So after tens of thousands of crowdfunding pre-orders for a high-end pair of 3D sound headphones, audio startup Ossic announced this weekend that it is shutting down the company and backers will not be receiving refunds. Because again, they probably put a lot of that, pre-order money into places that you just can't get your money back from. So there's no money to kind of pull from. So the company raised $3.2 million across Kickstarter and Indiegogo for their Ossic X headphones. And in which they pitched as a pair of high-end head-tracking headphones that would be perfect for listening to 3D audio, especially in a VR environment. So a couple problems you immediately see. They're marketing a technology that is different. What they hope is revolutionary, but also too, and I feel this happens often, the VR market, which despite us talking about VR and how great it is and how many people enjoy it, VR is still a very niche, small audience. And trying to market headphones directly to them, 22,000, that's no slouch, but that does not speak to an exceptionally large market. So, while the company also raised a substantial seed investment in a letter to on the Ossic website, the company blamed the slow adoption of virtual reality alongside their crowdfunding campaign stretch goal, which bogged down their R&D team. And they have a quote here: "This was obviously not our desired outcome. The team worked exceptionally hard and created a production-ready product that is a technological and performance breakthrough. To fail at the 5-yard line is a tragedy. We are extremely sorry that we cannot deliver your product and want you to know that this team has done everything possible, including investing our own savings and working without salary to exhaust all possibilities." And I feel for them. That's something that a lot of small businesses have to struggle with themselves. And that's something that is just highly not recommended, but is always their last resort, which includes dipping into their own personal savings, working without pay. That just so often, it just does not pan out the way they want them to. So through January 2017, the San Diego company had about 22,000 pre-orders for the Ossic X headphones. And this past January, they announced that they had shipped out the first units to the 80 backers in their $1,000 developer tier headphones. So the headphones were not $1,000, but they had a $1,000 tier, and those had been shipped. So after tens of thousands of pre-orders, they only built about 250 pairs of headphones and only shipped a few dozen to the Kickstarter backers. Crowdfunding campaign failures for hardware products are rarely shocking, but often the collapse comes from the company not being able to acquire additional funding from outside investors. Here, Ossic appears to have misguided from the start, and even with about $3 million, which they said nearly matched their number, they were left unable to begin large-scale manufacturing. So, yep, they said it would take about another $2 million to actually fulfill their backlog. Folks, music means we're going to have to end it there, but as far as Ossic goes, this is yet another word of warning for when it comes to, for when it comes to Kickstarters and the like. Yeah, you're paying for more than just the product that's being sent out. There's a lot of chance that you're not actually funding them. You are simply placing a bet. You're gambling. That's what Kickstarter and Indiegogo are. So, watch out, be careful, and hey, didn't work out this time, but maybe next time. So everyone, hey, thank you for tuning in to Computer America. Thank you for joining us here on the program. And again, a big thank you to our guest today, Heartbeat, for, of course, joining us and talking about their service. So everyone else out there, if you want to hear more of Computer America, including past shows, future shows, anywhere else, ComputerAmerica.com will have everything you need. So folks in the chat room, folks out there listening, folks listening to the podcast, everyone and anyone who hears this message, thank you so much. And hey, it's a lot of fun to do Computer America for you, and we hope that you join us once again. So until next time, have a great day. Thank you so much. Be safe. And hey, catch us next time. Everyone, have a great day. Bye-bye.